Hey, everybody. This is Dominic D'Angelo of adfreeshows.com, SEScoops.com, and brassringmedia.com. I'm flying solo today, and wow, some big breaking news, some sad news. Hulk Hogan passed away at the age of 71. And who, just, I, I just don't know what to say when it comes to that. It's sad. It is sad. I don't think current climate, everything to that effect, you always think about that, and that's always lingering in your head. But you just think from what he did for the business, how he changed the business, and what people it wouldn't be where it is today without him. Plain and simple. Um, Arguably the biggest wrestling star of all time, and that's me. Uh, Being a Bruno Sammartino fan, knowing the stakes and living in the thick of the Steve Austin white hot heat action. Hogan, nobody would be here without Hogan. Not, I don't think any of us would be as big as fans as we are now. Even if you didn't like Hogan or if you weren't a fan of him growing up as a kid, that you just it, he changed everything. He made pro wrestling global, and just rest in peace to Hogan. It's a shame. It's, people think about, his transgressions, everything to that effect, and certainly, that's in people's forefronts of mind. But I just think of too just what he's done for the business and what he did for me as a fan. I mean, everybody can share in that kind of thing here too. Let's say hi to some folks in the chat. Cami Star says, it's the first thing that came in my head. Ding ding. Hogan, never a Hulkamaniac. 6'9" says, R.I.P. to my childhood hero, Hulk Hogan. Rest in peace, brother, says Willie Thornbrew. He said wild things, sure, but my wrestling journey started with him body slamming Andre the Giant. I was 3 years old. Rest in peace, brother. Rick Smith says, wish he fixed his legacy before he passed. Yeah, it's a tough thing. We got a joke, I think, here. Me and Ozzy made a pact back in 88, brother. If one of us goes, the other will go too. How close we were. Wow. Wrestling Audit says, he was a megastar. Wrestling needed to get where it is today. Judy Martin chimes in. Is it really true? Oh, yes, it is. It is true. TMZ made the report. A reported cardiac arrest is what went down. I'll see if I can pull up the article here. I'm reading it. Wrestling legend Hulk Hogan has died at 71 years old, TMZ Sports has learned. Medics were dispatched to the 71-year-old WWE legend's Clearwater, Florida home early Thursday morning, with operators stating it was regarding a cardiac arrest. We're told a slew of police cars and EMTs were parked outside of Hogan's home, and the icon was carried on a stretcher and into an ambulance. Just a few weeks ago, Hogan's wife, Sky, denied rumors that he was in a coma, stating that his heart was strong as he recovered from surgeries. We broke the story last month. There were rumblings Hogan was on his deathbed, but we were told that at the time he was dealing with symptoms of a neck procedure he underwent in May. Hogan transformed professional wrestling into the family entertainment sport. Before Hogan, wrestling catered to a fairly narrow audience. Hulk's theatrics in the ring were magnetic for children and their parents, and it supercharged the sport. In 1996, Hogan transformed himself from hero to villain by creating the NWO, New World Order, and became Hollywood Hulk Hogan. It propelled him and professional wrestling into even more fame. Story developing, R.I.P. Yeah, I mean, just super sad. It is. I just don't. I think about Hogan. I get 5 years old getting this Hasbro figure. I was at the tail end of Hulkamania, but I was into it as a kid. And, Marcus, my brother, had the Ted DiBiase Hasbro figure. I had the Hogan figure. And, I think about, him introducing me to wrestling and getting invested into that and seeing all the other stars that came into play when stuff did start moving along. And sure, Hogan, his Hulkamania tapered off and we got, the next gen, so to speak. And, but, he created that segue into that with a Bret Hart, with a Razor Ramon, with a, Diesel, Shawn Michaels, all that. That all picked up. And then the Impact, biggest heel turn of all time, undoubtedly, Hogan. Bash at the Beach 1996, and it's a shame. It's a shame. Like, uh, and yes, he had his issues and made statements that were not good and very, very unsettling. It didn't follow the appropriate channels into maybe keep making the appropriate apology. It's you think about all that stuff, and it that's the sad thing about life is you grow, you look up to people, you see them one way, then certain elements and life comes in the frame of it all and creates your own picture. And that can be a sobering picture. That can be a picture that you yourself looks at and says, this is how I view this person, while another person looks and views it in a completely different way. And that can be another fan. That could be a close friend of Hogan's. People say what they'll say about Hogan, but other people say differently too. And he's certainly put himself in the public eye when it comes to not only pro wrestling but pop culture, and then the controversy that surrounds him with all the racial statements made and political decisions to come into form, and then how it got reciprocated in pro wrestling, in the business. So let's see. Oh, let's see. So Wrestling Old, it says the Hasbro Bear Hug figure was my first wrestling figure. I still have the postcard that was mailed to me during the Earthquake feud. So I had the Body Slam one or the Gorilla Press one where he would throw, but I think it was called Body Slam. Wow. Jade Roeder says, I remember when he fought Slaughter WrestleMania 7 and he got busted open. I was a kid and started crying and he won. Yeah. So, I know, just a crazy thing to think two pop culture icons in Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan have passed away. Just very, very wild to think. And it's sad. It's sad. It speaks to life as a whole for everybody when it comes to, it puts the time clock on everybody, right? You grew up with these people, like in the pop culture realm. Ozzy Osbourne, whether you listen to Black Sabbath or followed him on the Osbournes or anything like that, Ozzy was inundated into Americana, and obviously so was Hulk Hogan. So rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. Like, say what you will, I just think it's sad when somebody just passes away, even, and it's just like somebody that has been very much a part of what we all enjoy. And whether that means you were a fan of his work or not, or a fan of the man himself or not, it's just, that is just part of it. Let's see. Wow, I can't cross check this, but Zach says this leaves WrestleMania 12 as the earliest Mania main event with both participants still alive, HBK and Brett. I think you're right. Yeah. Wow. Wow. What a fact that is. Yes. So Hogan, it was reported, Hogan underwent some surgery, and then there was some alarming stuff that Bubba the Love Sponge, of all people, started saying that he was in bad health and that he wasn't doing well and things like that. But there was no other indication of that. And other people spoke out about it too. And I also, but Hogan was not in the limelight. If you did kind of watch, he wasn't in the public eye. There were his social media would get posted, but it wasn't current pictures, or it wasn't what he was up to, and certain things like that. His friends did defend him, and when it came to what his status may have been, I think both Eric Bischoff and Jimmy Hart spoke out defending and helping him out. But he his health, I don't know all the details when it comes to that, but obviously, like, something happened at his home where he suffered cardiac arrest and passed away. 6'9" says Diesel versus Shawn Michaels. What people always look at Bam Bam and Lawrence Taylor as that, so I think that's maybe what Zach was referring to. But yeah, you do make a point there. The only WWE champion from before the 90s still with us is Backlund. Is that true? I can't cross check any of that, so I just don't know right off the top of my head. So let's take a look. Let's see how social media is reacting to this. Obviously, it's such big news and everything. Ric Flair just made a post 7 minutes ago. I am absolutely shocked here. Hold on, I'm going to try to screen share it real quick. Let me do what I can here. Screen share. X. Here we go. We're going to pull up Flair's tweet here. I am absolutely shocked to hear about the passing of my close friend Hulk Hogan. Hulk has been by my side since we started in the wrestling business. An incredible athlete, talent, friend, and father. Our friendship has meant the world to me. He was always there for me, even when I didn't ask for him to be. He was one of the first to visit me when I was in the hospital with a 2% chance of living, and he prayed by my bedside. Hogan also lent me money when Reed was sick. Hulkster, no one will ever compare to you. Rest in peace, my friend. Again, oh, geez, I didn't even pull it up, but here's the tweet that Flair showed. So there it is. He shared some pictures of him too. But this again speaks to the gray areas of everybody and how friends know him, how fans view him, and how, media views him. There's obviously people have their faults. What Hogan has said had its faults for sure. But I think, you take people as humans, and sure, some flaws are really severe and really bad and, irreprehensible in a lot of ways. But that's just the sobering thing about life is that there's gray areas when it comes to everybody, so like kind of be, when it comes to this stuff, kind of be a little understanding with people when it comes to like people that they grew up watching and enjoyed passing away, and keep that into factor too at the same time. Keep it into factor too that it's undeniable what Hogan did for the wrestling business. It's undeniable. So yeah, there's a lot of different thoughts about the title changes back in the 80s. So I'll let you guys go into that one. Cammy mentions too that it's really easy to grow a clot after surgery. That's a great point, Cammy. That's a great point. We don't know the details that have happened. Here, I'm going to try to look on X and see what else people have said, if any stars have said anything. James Storm shares a photo of himself with Hogan. Here, I'll pull up the share screen. You guys can look too. Oh, and sorry about the Godfather background, by the way. I didn't change it because I was like, oh, I'm flying solo today. I don't have to worry about it. But if I do a screen share, I do have to worry about it. So there we go. James Storm, Dave LaGreca, the end of an era, our childhood. Okay, here we go. Charlotte Flair. When I nearly lost my dad 8 years ago, one of the few people who was there for all of it was Hulk Hogan. My heart breaks for Nick and Brooke. Rest in peace, brother. Tony Schiavone, say what you want about Hulk Hogan, but his impact on pro wrestling is undeniable. R.I.P. Hulkster, the end of an era. Tony was there for all of it. The big heel turn and everything. Conrad, Hulk Hogan was the reason I fell in love with wrestling. Thank you for the memories. I'll pray for peace and contentment for your family. Well said, Conrad. RVD just gives a sad emoji with a prayer emoji as well after seeing this. So more Yahoo Sports, John Layfield. One of the reasons I got into wrestling, Hulk was always so nice to me and was the one celebrity that wanted to see all the kids I brought over from Bermuda. R.I.P. legend. There will never be another Hulkamania. Hulkamania never dies. Seeing who else said some stuff here. That's the TMZ thing. Trying to see what else we got here. Just a lot of. Sorry if I'm being quiet. If you're listening on audio, John Arezzi, a really well-known wrestling personality in the New York area, said, "Wow, truly shocking. As polarizing he was post 1990, he truly changed the entire industry and was unstoppable in the 1980s. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan." Iron Sheik account shares out a photo. ESPN New York is reporting about it too. Dave Meltzer adds Hulk Hogan died at 71 today. He's probably the most famous pro wrestler who ever lived, and more people paid to see him perform all over the course of his career than any other person. Thanks for the memories. Tony Schiavone's son shares a great picture too. Hogan, Frankie Kazarian sharing out a photo. John Schuyler from TNA. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say a big part of my childhood is gone. The word icon does not get thrown around a lot, but Hogan was larger than life. He definitely made an impression on me as a young Hulkamaniac and was a massive part of me falling in love with pro wrestling as a kid. Thanks for the memories, brother. Godspeed, Hulkster. Let's take some of your guys' comments here too and see what you have to say. If you guys have any stories to share, feel free to share them. I'll pop them up on there. Vince Russo sends his well wishes. I'm floored, speechless, and don't know what to say. In shock to now, trying to process. Just wow. Let's see. I'm off today, but we'll call in to talk about Hulk Hogan, Mark Madden, who worked with Hogan in WCW. All right, let's take a look at some of what your guys' comments are. Pop it up. Let's see here. Legends of Wrestling, Leon Knight says, no way Hulk is gone. For all the days of Robert to miss. I know he literally just texted me a little bit before this news broke that he wasn't going to be on. And I was like, oh, I'm fine. I'll cover Dynamite, talk about Dynamite. But clearly, like you said, Cammy, I threw the rundown out the window when this popped up. Yeah, Bischoff was making the rounds for the Real American Wrestling, freestyle wrestling coming up here. Dre Owen says, that's crazy. Right after they announced this new show streaming deal, American Freestyle. Yeah, it's crazy. But man, just trying to see if there's anything else popping up here that I can share with you guys that is of significance. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any other names making mention here of Hogan passing. But I don't know. Like, favorite memories of Hogan. I mean, the heel turn is something. But I tuned in later on with the NWO when it came to. It was long after the heel turn happened. So when I saw Hogan as a heel, he was in full heel. And I got to say this. What a great chicken-ass heel he was. Like, amazing. I think he set a precedent for how to be a heel in certain ways when it came to the modern hotbed of wrestling. He was the heel of heels, I think, because you would see him on television all the time. You would never see him defend that championship until Goldberg came around on television. And so I think his heel run is equally as big as his babyface run in a lot of ways. I mean, the argument certainly is made that the Hogan Hulkamania set everything off. So that kind of takes the first seat. But, I mean, right beside it is that Hogan heel turn. I mean, you can't get any bigger. You really can't. You know, how that made such a pivot to the business. And this took everything, off the table when it came to, hey, you don't think when Hogan turned heel that Vince McMahon had to call some audibles into regards to how his product was presented and to what needed to happen? The NWO, Hulk Hogan was the stick to stir the drink because you had the cool guys. You had Scott Hall, my favorite of all time. You had Kevin Nash, one of my favorite people of all time. They're the guys that invaded. And then you have Hogan, the biggest star in pro wrestling, turn heel and change the industry. He changed the industry. There's no doubt about it. If you had somebody like Sting join the NWO, I love Sting, but if you had somebody like Sting, it wouldn't have been as impactful. There would have been nobody. Hogan was the guy to do it, and he did it. So Jade Rod says his favorite was Rock Hogan at WrestleMania. I mean, the fact that he was able to turn that crowd was something. The Rock speaks to that, how he learned a lesson that night, Yeah, Ron Ward, I mean, that's fine. He says he wasn't a huge fan once he knew more about the real him. I'll keep my thoughts to myself. Sure. And look, that all comes into context with everything. I mean, you do. It's a human life. Humans have flaws. They make decisions. They make mistakes. They sometimes don't say things about those mistakes. And, that's the sobering thing about life, isn't it? I mean, because it's tough when you learn about things about people that, you grew up watching or looked at as heroes or anything to that effect. And then you see their flaws, you see their the gray areas of it all. And it definitely paints a picture for everybody. And everybody has a right to feel how they want to feel about Hulk Hogan. I mean, all I'm just saying is, kind of keep it all in the factor about how people process this, and don't be judgmental on either side. People have their rights to feel any way they want to, but it's just just be a little understanding of everybody today at this point in time. Wrestling fans, obviously, this is a wrestling story, so it's just and it's somebody that household name passed away. Oh wow, 6ix9ine says he was up there live in Daytona when he turned heel. I was so upset and practically in tears. That's it. That's man. Oh, that's the other name too, Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now I wasn't familiar with the Cosby Show. It was a little before my time, and so I wasn't familiar with the actor or his work or the impact that he made, but just seeing the reception he got was telling, because I mean, a lot of people gave their thoughts and shared their stories, well wishes to Malcolm Jamal Warner as well. So yeah, what a wild week. Yes, if you guys are just tuning in, Hulk Hogan has passed away at the age of 71. A reported cardiac arrest by TMZ Sports initially first reported the story, and so that's what a day in wrestling. It's just crazy. It's sad. It's sad. People are able to separate the art from the artist in some cases, and that's it. Devin Dowling says, R.I.P. Hulkster, either die a hill or live enough to see yourself become a villain. I mean, in the current climate, Hogan was not, if you look at from the media perspective, Hogan was not viewed in the brightest light. But I mean, again, I think though, in certain way, social media only tells one side of the story, and people will voice their opinions on there. Obviously, you probably saw me scrolling through the tweets there and seeing some people say some other stuff, negative stuff about Hogan, or making jokes or anything to that effect. So just pretty wild stuff. Thank you, everybody, people tuning in too. We're getting an audience, understandable considering all the stuff that happened. Yeah. So, but to 6ix9ine's point, separating the art from the artist, it can always be a difficult thing. And then certain things I kind of take it by case basis and things like that. I always keep things into factor too. Well, I loved Hogan as a kid. I interacted with Hogan very, very, just a handshake. That's all it was later on. But you know, you just keep it in your own context and you make your own decision, and it creates that influx and frustration in your head of how do I feel about this person? And some people feel outright good or bad about a big figure like Hogan. So it's very tough for people to do. Let's take a look at X again. I'll pop up some more if there's some new content going on here to talk about. We covered Flair. I do want to cover here what this star has to say, and that is, can I share this? How do I share this up again? Elijah Burke, the Pope. I'm always a fan of the Pope. So, and he always says some nice things too. So I'll never forget being able to share the ring with someone who helped shape my childhood. My thoughts and prayers go out to Brooke, Nick, and the entire Balea family. Only love. He shares some photos of him together with Hogan. They had a relationship at TNA. Let's see, EC3 shares a picture of him and Hogan together. Sergeant Slaughter, sad to hear about the passing of Hulk Hogan. I guess God needed an incredible angel. R.I.P. my friend. So, and the infamous photo of him at WrestleMania 7 with Hogan shared that. Scotty Riggs, R.I.P. Hulk, was always cool to chill with you. There was nobody like you, brother. So Lavi Morgan, if you're not familiar with his work, he wrote Trump Mania, covered Donald Trump's rise into political landscape. A really good book. He's very impartial when it comes to that. So if you get a chance, check that out. Trump Mania. There's an extended version when Trump, I think after 2020 or something as well. But he says Hulk Hogan, greatest of all time, sensation in AWA and New Japan. WWF Hulkamania era, biggest mainstream exposure and cultural relevancy, immediately raised WCW's profile and NWO phenomenon, and then Rock's WrestleMania main event. Like, that's the biggest argument you can make, I think, for Hogan being the biggest wrestling star of all time. Right there is what Lavi posted. So, shout out to him. And then here I'll put this up to this quote here from Zach. I take my lead from several black wrestlers, including Mark Henry, who feel he didn't do enough. Can't make a distinction. It's a fair argument as well. So, yeah, his last appearance is he got booed out of the building on the Netflix premiere. So, that's it. You take it all into context, and you're gonna feel how you feel about a certain person. And I mean, but it's just no denying that Hogan was a huge name. The first wrestler I really became a fan of was Hulk Hogan. Like, I mean, and for good reason. Like, he was all over everything. And, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, spoke good on that stuff and everything to that effect. So what a conflicting thing to have, see what happened in 2015, I think, or the footage get released in 2015, the audio get released, and then everything that unraveled. And so, and it paints a new canvas of how you potentially view somebody. But I mean, I think either way, this is sad news. It's sad news. Somebody passes away, a star passes away. I'm not going to celebrate somebody's death like that. So, no way. Let's see. Some Long Beach City Joe trashing the Trump Mania book, even though he hasn't read it. Look, don't be quick to judge. I am apolitical when it comes to anything. So, and I'm very against all parties in a lot of ways. But I took that, and it's a good book. There's no denying it. He does a really thorough job and ties everything in. It's not a thing that leans one way or the other, really, in a lot of ways. Long Beach City Joe, California Joe. But so yeah, trying to see, want to make sure if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them in here. I'll hang out here for a little bit more. Jay Roy says, the memories, man. Hogan versus Warrior is my second. My cousins were rooting for Warrior, my friends for Hogan. What a memory. Yeah, I never subscribed to the Ultimate Warrior fan base when I was a kid. I was a Hogan kid, and then but like again, he laid down the precedent. Like AWA, and that Ric Flair talks about how he started with him, and they both came out of the AWA, Hogan and Flair. You know, well, Flair was trained up in the AWA with Vern Gagne and stuff like that, but they known each other forever. So Flair making that post that he did, a good touch on Flair's part for sure. TNA, Carlos Silva makes a statement here. TNA president, I am saddened to learn of the passing of pro wrestling icon Hulk Hogan. Hogan's name was synonymous with professional wrestling, transcending the industry to become an American pop culture fixture. My condolences goes out to his friends, friends, and family. Rest in peace. Seeing what else. Yeah, somebody shares the NWO entrance from WWF actually coming out, and man, that is cool. I mean, man, you want to talk about Brutus Beefcake. Here we go. Here, I'll pop up share screen again so people can see. Brutus Beefcake. Through the good times and the bad, I will always love my brother Terry. I am devastated by the loss of my friend. I only wish we had time to mend our broken friendship before his passing. Until I see you, brother, in the big squared circle in the sky, I love you. Hulk Hogan, rest in peace. Yeah, it's the wrestling business. Oops, I just exited out. Hold on a second. Let me go back to X. See what else said here. Just a lot of people coming out. Said it. Sam Adonis. As a kid, I rewatched the Hulkster Hulk Hogan on VHS more than any other cartoon or kids show. My obsession with pro wrestling can be traced back to the original Hulkamania days with my brother and dad. There's a lot of people hurting right now. Rest easy, Hulkster. Does anybody remember the show? It was on Nickelodeon. It was a Nickelodeon special, and it was portrayed Hulk Hogan as a kid, and he was heavy set, like he was overweight kid, and he remembered getting bullied and things like that. That's one of my very first memories of Hulk Hogan, was that show on Nickelodeon. It was like a special that Hogan was on. Yeah, Devin asked that too. What was your first Hogan memory? Mine has to be Hogan's Hero on DVD. So on VHS, not DVD. I'm sorry. Yeah, that is one of my earliest memories. Is Hulk Hogan as an overweight kid on Nickelodeon, like a little story being told. Cammy, do you remember that one? Because that's what that's like my really early memory of Hogan. I'm sure he was obviously I was a fan because I tuned into the program at that point, but that's how I remember like knowing Hogan really early on. So let's take a look here. I'm going to take a look at some more posts on X. I want to make sure. I got to reshare the screen again. Bear with me here. Shooting from the hip. Share at the stage. Okay. Seeing what else people are saying. You guys can see all who I follow on Twitter. CM Punk. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is not CM Punk. That's thank goodness I read that. It was not CM Punk. That was a fan account that was posting about it. Taking a look. Yes, if you're tuning in right now, Hulk Hogan has passed away at the age of 71. Reported cardiac arrest from TMZ Sports. And this is after rumors and reports were that Hogan was in poor health. Taking a look here. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of your guys' comments here. Ron Ward says, I think my first Hogan memory is the lead up to WrestleMania 3. I was one of those people that watched it on the closed, what is it called? Help me out. Closed circuit television thing, I think, in Worcester. How about that? Yeah. I mean, you can tell the difference of age when it comes to like, oh, I remember him body slamming Andre the Giant WrestleMania 3. I was 2 at the time. So it's just like, if you're a little bit older, that's going to be your first big memory of Hogan is slamming Andre and stuff like that. Zach asks, how does SmackDown change? Yeah, how does SmackDown change? You know, that is something to really consider. How is WWE? What are they going to do? He's such a big name. There is no WWE without Hulk Hogan. There isn't. So, how do you honor him? Is it going to be like a whole show? I feel like it's got to be like a whole show kind of thing where it's just like he's there throughout and stuff like that. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to kind of try to tackle, considering how he's viewed in today's world, or or was up until this point, and then what he's actually done for the business in itself too. What a character in wrestling, both on screen and off screen, in regards to who he was and the picture that was painted there. But wow. I'll take one last look at social media before I close out here. See if there's anything else significant I want to see or read about. Trying to see if there's wrestling personalities making any statements. NWA tweets out, the National Wrestling Alliance mourns the passing of Terry Bollea, known professionally to the world all over as Hulk Hogan. On this sad occasion, we extend our deepest sympathies to Hulk's family, friends, and millions of fans. Seeing if there's anything else. So this is a quote from let's see if WWE has said anything. I should have probably looked that up at this juncture. So this is the statement from WWE. WWE is saddened to learn WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away. One of pop culture's most recognizable figures, Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s. WWE extends its condolences to Hogan's family, friends, and fans. So that's the statement from WWE that got released. Is there anything else that they put? That was the first thing they posted on social media. Let's see here. All right, I think I've covered what I've able to cover at this point in time. Yeah, 8 days away until SummerSlam. Christopher Zanto says, I worry WWE might be more worried about advertisers and fan backlash. This isn't the Vince days. The corporate overlords may not want to take the chance. It's going to be really, I think they'll do it in a pretty good manner. I think WWE. I think you can understand and keep things in perspective. I don't think from an advertiser or backlash standpoint that they're going to be that concerned, to be honest. I think Hogan will get a really good tribute by WWE. Trying to think of what I want to say to close this out. Hogan. I grew up a fan. What he did for wrestling changed the business. I would not be here without Hulk Hogan. I think a lot of people can say that. He changed the business in so many and 2 different occasions. From Hulkamania to NWO heel turn. I don't think anybody can really say that and it's sad. It's sad. I do extend my prayers to Hogan, his family, and fans and friends. It's a sad thing when people pass away. It is, and you know, people just there's gray areas with everybody, and it's a you know, you're by all means are able to make your decision how you view a person or things like that, but just know like we all see one thing, people see other things, could be good, could be bad, could be really heartwarming. I mean, think of what Charlotte Flair wrote about, what Ric Flair wrote about during this passing of Reed, and then the health trouble that Flair went through. That is both stated out by Flair, Rick, and Charlotte. So there's layers to everybody, and those layers can be good, they can be bad, and you just make your thoughts on that. But I just hope that I did right by everybody in this talking here. So but obviously we'll be talking about this as the days go on. I don't think Robert is in tomorrow. I think I'm flying solo, but I'll try to get a guest host on here to chat up a little bit, see what we can do tonight. RVD and I are scheduled to go live at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune into rvdtv.com and check it out. I'm sure Rob will have some thoughts. Obviously, he was really good friends with Hogan. He, was a fan of Hogan as a kid. So Hogan, has reached out across the realm of all types of wrestlers, and all types of fans and people. So be considerate of everybody today. Let them speak their minds. If you don't agree with them, maybe don't push back. Don't worry about it, because people are going to have what they're going to have to say. If you want to enjoy what Hogan did, enjoy what Hogan did. If you don't, you don't. But rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. Prayers out to him, his family, and everybody. And I'll see you here tomorrow on Rumor and Innuendo. So RIP, the Hulkster.